Welcome to the Beef Information Center's NutriCast radio series. I'm Laura Pasut, a registered dietitian and president of NutriData Consulting Services. The topic for today's show is on lean beef, a nutrient-rich food. Our guest today is registered dietitian Hélène Charlebois from HC Nutrition Consulting and Wellness in Ottawa. Welcome, Hélène.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Nice to have you. Now, Hélène, can you tell us what dietitians mean when they are talking about nutrient-rich foods?
It's an interesting topic and certainly a bigger pun word these days, and a lot of my clients are starting to talk to me about it. And what I summarize for them is you want the best nutrient bang for the calories. So you want more vitamins and minerals and different kinds of nutrients in your food. So what I find interesting today, and especially being a weight management specialist, people tend to be overfed but undernourished. So people are eating a lot of their calories, which are probably not so nutrient dense. Many Canadians are not getting enough of their specific nutrients these days. I'm seeing a lot of iron deficiencies, much more in my patients. Of course, calcium, zinc, the B vitamins. Another interesting vitamin today is vitamin D. Many Canadians are deficient of vitamin D, and we're seeing rickets coming back in children. Vitamin D, of course, is in milk, so children might not be having milk for breakfast. They're having more juice and even pop, and they're not getting outside because they're on the computers, and vitamin D is sun-related. So I think it's really important to look at, let's get more nutrients in the foods that we do eat, because there's certainly a lot of choices that are not nutrient-dense today.
Now, I understand, Hélène, that Canadian beef is a nutrient-rich food, or one of the many. Why would you recommend lean beef to your clients?
Again, as I said, many of my clients, being that there's key nutrients in beef, many of them are iron deficient. A lot of people are protein deficient because they're replacing some of the more healthy foods with unhealthy foods. And beef has 14 key essential nutrients. And I usually divide them in three categories. So we're looking at protein, of course. And, of course, beef is one of the best sources of protein that we can have in the Canadian market, especially for building, if you want to build muscle, repair body tissues, those people who are trying to change their bodies and working out, protein and lean beef, certainly part of that, is a great choice. Also, with Canadian lean beef, we're looking at minerals, zinc, iron, selenium. Today, in being in the winter, of course, our immune system needs some boosting for those colds that are running around. So I love to recommend Canadian beef because of the zinc and selenium contents. Also with the iron, as I said earlier, more and more are iron deficient, and we know that iron is important for carrying oxygen through the body. The other thing that Canadian beef has is the B complex. And even though in Canada we fortify our grains with B vitamins, I find that people aren't eating enough of them and they're too refined. So Canadian beef is a good choice for thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, the vitamin B6. And they all turn food into energy. The biggest thing for Canadian beef is the B12. And if we're not eating enough of these foods, then, again, our nutrient value is low. B12 helps the cells and the muscles and the brain tissues and the nervous system all work well together. So it's a very good nutrient-rich powerhouse food, calorie per calorie, along with other protein choices as well. Canadian lean beef is a really good choice and easy enough to get anywhere.
Well, it's pretty amazing when you think of, all the nutrients in one package. But many consumers go out shopping and then they're worried about fat content. When we shop for Canadian beef, how do we know which cuts are lean? Which ones would you recommend?
Well, first I tell my clients, look at the cut. Because if there's any visible fat, I usually say it doesn't count as long as you trim it off, right? Because we can trim that. So what we're looking at is looking at different cuts. So if there's some visible fat, you can certainly take it off. Other than that, when you're looking at the meat, there's different names that are associated with being leaner cuts. Words like loin, such as a strip loin or a sirloin, round, eye of the round, inside round, outside round, or of course your ground beef, which you can get the extra lean or the lean. So those are all really good beef cuts that are very lean choices. Second, now we have the health check symbol. And many of the lean beef do have the health check symbol on the outside of the package. So that's a good way to very physically look at and quickly look at a piece of meat, and then you know whether it's healthy and lean for you. So what the health check symbol is, it's a white check mark over a red circle. and it says Health Check and Heart and Stroke Foundation. So the dietitians at the Heart and Stroke Foundations, they've looked at the nutrient content of these lean cuts of beef, and they've said that they were okay in Canada's Food Guide based on the recommendations. If they don't have the health check, I usually tell people, okay, write down these 8 different cuts. So there's 8, which is a lot for lean ground beef, for example, or extra lean ground beef, when you're looking at words like round. So you're looking at eye of the round, the inside round, outside round. You're also looking at sirloin. That's another word. Sirloin tip, top sirloin, strip loin. Also the flank sides and the cross ribs are also very good lean cuts. So that's what I recommend to people. So I get them to take note.
Well, that's great, Hélène. That beef seems like a great nutrient-rich choice. But sometimes, though, it's hard to know how to cook some of these cuts. You know, you bring them home and you think, okay, am I supposed to put them in the oven? Am I supposed to fry them? You know, how am I supposed to get them on the table quickly, especially with the busy schedules that we all have today?
And don't we have busy schedules?
We do.
Yes, and that's one thing that a lot of my clients tell me. It's so busy. But what I like, even last night, you know, I just cut up a leftover steak and I just fried it up quickly and we did fajitas. You know, it's very, very quick to do, especially if you're cutting them in little strips. You can also buy prepared cuts. There's strips now that you can buy, or cubes for the slow cooker. Slow cookers are making a big comeback. All kinds of recipe books for slow cookers now. If you're buying some ground beef, of course, it's already ground up, so it's very quickly stir-fried. Or you can just add leftover roast beef that you've made over the weekend. You can add that quickly to soups or salads. Like I said before, the lean strips of beef are really great with some garlic and some onions, and then you could just throw them into a wrap or on top of a pasta. There's very thin grilling steaks now that you can just quickly fry up in the pan. We have great recipes at beefinfo.org, so if people want to go check that out, great recipe ideas for that quick and easy meal for dinner.
Well, I have to agree with you about the slow cooker making a comeback. I just got one recently, and I tried a pot roast the other day, and it was a big hit with the family. So that was great.
Yeah. I have a digital one, too, and I just set it, and it's great. I just love my slow cooker.
That's great. Well, these are excellent suggestions, Hélène. I'd like to thank Hélène Charlebois for sharing her expertise on the topic of nutrient-rich lean Canadian beef. Thank you so much, Hélène.
Thank you, Laura.
I hope you found this information on lean beef helpful, and I encourage you to try a new recipe from the Beef Information Center's website, beefinfo.org. Thank you for tuning in to the Beef Information Center's NutriCast radio series. Join us again for more interesting discussions on nutrient topics for a healthier diet.